I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? This is Jomar here, Island Aesthetics, and today we are on a podcast to discuss nutrition and fitness. I don't know what else you want me to say from there on out.
So there's a lot of trends inside fitness, and like they keep changing back and forth, right?
Mhm.
There was this whole vacuum belly thing that people was doing. You suck in all you got, and then you do that back and forth to get abs. But I don't see anybody doing that anymore. What happened? Does that not work?
So when you suck in the air and you create a vacuum look like what you would see, that's working the transverse abdominis. That's the abdomen on the inner lining of your abdomen. So that helps to train the abdomen and also helps with bracing. But you're not gonna necessarily get a smaller stomach and see your abs from just doing that only. It's still a combination of having a proper eating regimen. I wouldn't say diet, proper eating regimen in place and burning more calories than you take in and moving around energy expenditure. But vacuums do assist with building the abdomen so that when you strip down the body fat, they show better.
What is the easiest way to get in shape? Because at the end of the day, the reason why I think that caught on because people are like, oh, I'll just do this breathing exercise and I don't have to do sit-ups or I don't have to go running or anything.
No. So,
I'm saying that's what people thought.
right.
That's why I was catching on. So suppose somebody out there listening, they're like, yeah, I want to do something, but like I want to put in the minimum effort. So what is the easiest thing for them to do to see some result?
Easiest thing I would say would be by far the biggest variable in terms of getting in shape is what you eat and what you consume on a daily basis. So, without getting too tactical, I would say even if you don't limit your portions or limit your meal frequency, then if you stick to whole unprocessed foods, so foods would just have one ingredient. So like fruit, orange has one ingredient, grains, rice, brown rice would have one ingredient, sweet potato would have one ingredient, chicken would have one ingredient. If you stick to eating whole unprocessed foods, that will generally turn around to where you have an increase in nutrients and you're getting adequate calories and proper calories in order to fuel your body so that when you work out and move around, you have adequate calories and adequate nutrients to build up the muscle tissue and also in combination of moving around, burn body fat. Also to limit your sugar intake, so refined sugar. So any sweets and stuff like that, white sugar, brown sugar, limit that, and then stick to unprocessed foods, and that would generally, if you don't do anything at all, that would steer you along the lines of losing body fat and overall weight once you start any resistance training or strength training or cardio.
Right, so now when you say single ingredient foods or unprocessed foods, what's the definition that you go and buy for unprocessed? Because like somebody might, because you said chicken, right? Somebody be like, well, all I doing is eating chicken, but then the chicken they eating is bare battered and deep fried.
No, that's still so. When I say that, is like if you bake it, you didn't put anything in it. If you let's say if you fry it,
Pan fry it.
yeah. But when I say processed stuff like Oreo cookies and cereals like Kellogg's, where you read the back where it have like red 49 and all these other ingredients, like bro, I don't know what this is, cornstarch, stuff like that. So when you cut out a lot of these stuff, generally you'll get in more nutrient dense rich foods.
I assumed that all of those chemicals meant that it was a superfood, because those sound like something to give you superpowers. But over some time, you'd start to see the results of you eating this type of diet. This is May where we're talking right now. June is right around the corner. Somebody's there saying, listen, I have a wedding I got to go to in 3 weeks. I have, a pool party that I'm preparing for inside August. What's the quickest way for me to get in shape?
I get this all the time. People come up to me and say, Joe, I gotta drop 6,000 pounds in 2 days. And I'm like, bro, are you prepared to run 100 miles a day? So, what I tell you is that the best thing I could say would be to move around and incorporate resistance training and cardio into your regimen. When the quickest way would be different for everybody. So you got different types of eating regimens. So you may have, so I described to you paleo, which is unprocessed foods. So you could eat breakfast, you could eat lunch, you could eat dinner. So you could eat oatmeal and eggs for breakfast. Then you could have chicken breast, sweet potato. Then you could have salmon, baked salmon, and brown rice, or baked salmon and just broccoli. There's also fasting, where you go a certain time frame without calories, that you ingest calories. So a typical fasting regimen would be 16-8, where you go 16 hours and then you eat 12 to 8, 1 to 9, 2 to 10. That could be easy for some people. And then some people may find it difficult where they cannot withhold without eating. So I would say the quickest thing would be something that you can maintain and consistently execute. So everything is systems. You'll have to find what system works for you. There's keto, there's paleo, there's fasting, but generally, like, to keep all of them simple without using a specific protocol. If you just eat unprocessed stuff with one ingredient and you move around more, you will lose overall weight.
You could eat oatmeal and eggs for breakfast. Is there a reason that you like? Is there a problem with eating the like corn grits for breakfast, or like, or is it a preference in terms of like, is it a blood sugar thing? What is it exactly?
Every time you eat anything, there's a spike involved. So everything that you eat has protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And one of those three may have a small spike, a medium spike, or a big spike. So carbohydrates, out of the three, would generally have the biggest spike. And then within the carbohydrates, there are low glycemic and high glycemic. So something with a high glycemic would be something that's sugary, such as refined sugar, white sugar, or if you do something like white rice, or if you eat like an Oreo cookie, those sort of things have a high glycemic index. Certain fruits as well also have a high glycemic index. So the premise with that is you want to have stable insulin levels, stable glucose levels, where you don't have that big a spike where you could have a crash in energy levels. So eating things that's low glycemic throughout the day would serve to be much more beneficial, and it'll also give you consistent energy, and it'll be easier for the body. I wouldn't say easier, but everything is calories in versus calories out. But I feel maintaining consistent glucose levels would be efficient for the body, but also there's instances where you do need a spike. So working out afterwards, eating something that's high carb or something that's sugary like Gatorade is very beneficial because you want to replenish the muscle tissue. So there's points where you want to spike it, but generally having stable low levels throughout the day would be much more beneficial for the average person.
You said that adding cardio and adding like just moving around along with resistance training is a good way. All right. Now, here's the question. All right. Does juicing count as cardio? And if so, why do so many sugar daddies have pot bellies?
So
You have the floor.
it does count as cardio, and I also encourage you to do as much cardio as possible. Safe cardio. So it still boils down to calories in versus calories out, and burning more calories than you consume. So if you're juicing a lot, that's fine. I encourage that. But you may not be juicing enough to lose weight if you eating too much calories. So you either gotta juice more which means you got to be prepared for that. You got to take you better get some honey, and you can choose more. Or, like I say, you can watch what you eat and change around certain things, and that'll get the ball rolling much more. Well, that'll get the ball rolling quicker in terms of you seeing results.
A follow-up question to that, right? I noticed that a lot of like exercise supplements, they also double as male enhancement supplements, right? Now the question there is why, or what exactly is it? Because like you have things like Yohimbe and with the ashwagandha. The,
Yes. So they have things like testosterone boosters.
okay,
So they do. I
I
can't
mean
speak for all the ingredients,
even
but
caffeine, like all these things have like they technically count as I think caffeine is a low level. Was it PDE?
so when you say PD, performance enhancing drugs.
Right.
So when you so those stuff that you listed off. So in terms of enhancements, caffeine is a stimulant. So if you ingest caffeine, that will give you a boost in energy without necessarily giving you a boost in calories. So that would be the premise of why a lot of pre-workouts have caffeine, because you may want to boost in energy. However, you're watching your overall total caloric intake. So that's a good way. There's other stimulants as well as beta alanine that you can use to give you a boost in energy. In terms of enhancements, so that anything that will boost your hormonal level will be better for you in terms of burning overall body fat and building lean muscle tissue. So there's statistics to show that taking in ashwagandha and yohimbe, these natural herbal elements, will help elevate your natural levels over time. So both men and women have testosterone and estrogen. It's just the levels within male versus female are different. So men will carry overall more testosterone than estrogen, although we have both, and women will carry more estrogen than testosterone. So both of us need it. It's just in different quantities, but keeping your hormonal levels stable and actually elevating them to taking some of these things can benefit you in terms of burning body fat and building lean muscle tissue. So it'll help your body to become much more efficient when you take in food, and that way it'll digest it, absorb it, and then it'll just build muscle tissue and burn body fat at a slightly higher rate when you have a slightly higher hormonal level. So these boosters claim to do that. Now, with all of the items, I can't speak for all of the items, but you will have to double check to see if there's any studies, but there are studies to show that ashwagandha and yohimbe help to improve levels. The amount that you take may vary, but those two have been proven to actually help. But there's a lot of things on the market. Some I'm familiar with, some I'm not familiar with, but I can't speak for those in terms of statistics.
Saying that there have been studies done on some of these, and these are herbal supplements. So my question then is like, have there been any local studies or even like anecdotal evidence that maybe we could use like strong bark or like love vine to give you a boost in the gym? Like you drink some bush tea right before you go hit the weights, and that might give you a little pump.
So you mean in terms of using like some local stuff here?
Yeah, I mean, have there been any studies, or is there, or should we run some studies to see maybe like love vine and all this different stuff that people be using for
Like
other stuff?
to my knowledge, I don't know of any local study, but I all down for if you want to pop a piece of aloe, or you want to just drink like Cersei, Cersei tastes bad. But like if you down for the cause and you want just horse that back in, we can do that. We can run that.
I'd see like how much weights you can lift after you drink a cup of Cersei, like if it improve your performance overall.
Yes. So I've seen it where individuals would take the two that I mentioned earlier, the yohimbe and the ashwagandha, and they did an endocrine test will show your hormonal levels. And their hormonal levels improved after they took these two items. I've seen that here firsthand.
Right.
So, like I say, with the local things like the bush stuff, look, if you could take that and then we could isolate it and then they could do a test before and after to see the levels, I all for that because that could be the new thing. Like everybody on that island.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so talking about things that are, I don't want to say fads, but things that are now popping up and saying, "Oh, that's the new thing. This the new
Right, right,
thing that
right.
people doing." Breast milk. I see
Good.
dudes online saying that they drinking breast milk to help improve their gains. What are your thoughts on this?
Hold on.
Is breast milk best for gains?
We talking about human breast milk. That's
Talk
what we're
about
talking about.
talk about human breast.
We talking about going to a female and saying, "Hey, can I have some of this if you're lactating?"
Yes.
Wild. I didn't even know people out here doing that.
Like,
If they on that run,
I don't know if people doing it locally, but I know internationally people are saying like, "Oh, I go up and I hit people up for breast milk because like that help. I've seen the improvement in my gains because they're like, oh, the fats and I guess the protein of it is different from cow milk. I guess.
I can't speak in terms of because it never crossed my mind to let me just hit up a titty, let me just get some of that, and that never hit me because you can burn a lot of body fat and build a lot of muscle tissue without ever doing this. So there's been multiple individuals, male and female, that has gotten into amazing shape without drinking breast milk. So I'm not saying that it does work. I'm not saying that it's the go-to and you need to do this. What I'm saying is that in terms of getting that, and then in terms of I wouldn't say the health aspect because babies drink it, but I also do not know that it helps with their growth. So it has like a lot of nutrients and stuff like that to help babies grow better. So it can, like I say, if babies drink it, it could be beneficial for it. It most definitely should be beneficial. But I also assume that the same nutrients that you get in the milk, you could get that elsewhere. So I also believe in knowledge is power. So if you figure out what's in that milk and where to get it, you could probably get it at a much easier and sound way versus just hitting up a female and be like, "Yo, you got that titty on lock." So that's just my 2 cents. Um, hey, whatever floats your boat, but I would not go that route and then look at substitutes. If you don't do dairy and whole milk, then almond milk, soy milk is also an alternative, and you don't necessarily have to drink milk at all. You can still get the same nutrients and the same calories from other food groups.
All right. So what then is the line that you think like a normal person should stop at when it comes to supplements?
Right. So if you just starting off for the first time, I would strongly advise you to look at your eating habits. So try to cut out anything that's processed. Try to cut out any sugary drinks for right now. Um, Try to get whole foods in, grains, meat products. If you're a pescatarian where you eat fish, or you're a vegan where you don't eat any animal products, that's also fine as well. You got foods like chickpeas, red kidney beans, brown rice. They will give you good source of carbohydrates and protein as well once you combine them. But in terms of supplementation, the main thing is to start with your eating and refine that and cut out anything that would hinder your development. Look at your overall calories and start tracking calories. And then in terms of supplements, if you just starting off, the only thing I would recommend would be a multivitamin. and also a green veggie supplement. So with these two combined together, they will fill in a lot of gaps in terms of the nutrients that you may not necessarily get from eating. So you got all your vitamins and minerals. So vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin B. You got vitamin E. All these things, and then you also have digestive enzymes, probiotic, prebiotic, antioxidants, adequate fiber. So you may need to eat a lot more broccoli in order to get a certain amount of potassium, or you may need to drink more orange juice to get vitamin C. So you may not typically eat or ingest these things on a daily basis. So having these headers in place helps you to get in adequate nutrients on the daily without necessarily having to eat this, having to eat that, and having to eat that, which will make it more efficient for you to hit all of your needs. So when you're looking at functionality and overall health, you're looking at two components, the macro and the micro. So the macro would be your calories, and within those calories, you have protein, carbs, and fat. And then the micro would be the nutrients. That would be the things that I just talked about, the vitamins and minerals, your adequate fiber, probiotic, prebiotic, these sort of things. So when you combine them and you're getting in adequate calories that you need and the adequate nutrients, then your fitness journey tends to become a lot more efficient, and you can recover properly, build more muscle tissue, endurance, stamina, and strength.
It, and this once again goes back to one of those sex questions. If somebody is intermittent fasting, all right, but they perform cunnilingus or fellatio, is
Right.
the amount of calories that they may ingest, is that negligible? Does that not count? Or should they abstain from putting anything inside their mouth until the fasting period is over?
I would argue those are good calories.
Yeah, but they're intermittent fasting.
Hey, sometimes your body just needs certain things. So, even though you fasted, everybody can benefit from one of those things. And if you are that person that likes to benefit from both, then more power to you. But in terms of like actually answering your question, I am not sure. I don't think they do carry any calories. But if they do, yeah, don't worry about that. But that can help the state of euphoria that you're in. You're gonna be so pumped up. I lie. Generally, most people, if it's good, you tired as hell afterwards, so you may miss the gym altogether. But you get your cardio in. You got to double back to that. So you got in a workout before the workout.
Last two questions, all right? So, well, I know that spot reduction is not a real thing, right? Where like you can't just say, "Oh, I trying to exercise to lose this belly," and the belly go by itself, right?
I
Like,
get that all the time. Everybody, if I had $1 for every time I say, every time I hear, Joe, I just to lose my stomach, I just put two in my stomach. I'm like,
right
uh-huh.
now, the question then is, right? Although spot reduction isn't a thing, is spot augmentation a thing? Is it possible to just make one part of my body bigger? Like, for example, and so for women, for example, right? Some of them would be like, when they lose weight, their breasts go down, the hip go down. Is it possible for them to make their hip bigger without without making everything bigger?
Oh, yes. So this is generally what I tell men and women. Well, a lot more women. What you're trying to do is what guys also do as well. It's the term body building. So you're gonna have to strip down the body and then also build up the body. So what you're trying to do is, this is why we strength train, is so that you can rebuild the muscle tissue and get certain proportions that you want. So you should aim to cut and bulk. You could do both at the same time, but it may come to a point where you'd have to choose either or. If you're new to fitness, once you eat in a pretty sound eating regimen where you get adequate calories, you could build up muscle tissue while you're dropping body fat. But most definitely, you could increase the size of your legs without increasing the size of your arms if that would be your overall goal. So you just need proper strength training where you break down like through squats, through lunges, and you take in adequate calories to rebuild that portion of your body without necessarily hitting the other body parts as frequently. So let's just say for a female, you want bigger legs, bigger hip, but you don't want big arms. So you could train your legs 2 times a week or 3 times a week, and you could just train your arms once a week. And because you're frequently and then you're getting in adequate calories, which is important to rebuild the muscle tissue, then it's going to rebuild at a quicker rate once you take in adequate calories to rebuild. So, double back to your question, yes, you can build one part of your body bigger than the other. This is why you can go in any gym and you'll see a bunch of different shapes. So, everybody isn't shaped necessarily um, the same ratios.
Final question. What is the best exercise for beginners? To somebody they brand new, what would you say, hey, why don't we start off with this?
So I wouldn't say there's one particular exercise. I feel if you're a beginner and you haven't done anything at all, I would caution you to focus on exercising all of your body parts within a given week. So you want to train your legs, you want to train your arms, you want to train your back and your shoulders and your core as well. So certain exercises you have full body programs, and then you also have splits where you do chest one day, back one day, or you could do chest and back, shoulders and legs, or you could do full body where you do a little bit of everything in one day. But I wouldn't say there's any right exercise, but I do think you should hit all of your muscle groups consistently because the body works in unison. So let's just say when you're squatting. So if you do a barbell squat, the barbell is on your back. So the stronger your back gets to hold the weight, the stronger your legs will be because your back is used to actually stabilize the movement. Your core is used to stabilize the movement. So when these things jump up, you can handle more load with squatting, and then you could break down your legs a whole lot stronger. So I would say to focus on all of the muscle groups. You can stick to just is looking at your program design. So a 2-day split, 3-day split, 4-day split, whatever you can handle in terms of your schedule. So you have your work and family schedule that may get hectic. So some people can do 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, but I would say adequately breaking down your entire body to where you could place emphasis on targeting all of the muscle groups every week.
All right, so tell people how to get in contact with you if they want to find out more information or hit you up for your services.
Right, so you can contact me through IG, which is Joe_Island_aesthetics. Also TikTok as well, Joe_Island_aesthetics. Or you can contact me via cell phone 812-2198. Or you can send me an email as well, islandaestheticscoaching@gmail.com. If you want a specific plan, custom plan for you, then you can contact me and we can discuss things, and I can put a system in place specifically for you with different types of eating regimens that you can consistently handle at your rate. So you can contact me. We can get it done 2024. We can still look at some of those things we discussed with the aloe, the breast milk, and the juicing. Get that custom bop, bop, bop. So it's just some of the things, but I try to work with you and see what's the best plan for you to get you to where you need to go.
Awesome. All right, let me...
Why?